Hey everyone, Kenny Chan here with Century 21% Group. Today we are only going to talk about the Toronto market for the month that just passed, as well as a recap of the trends that are going on in the last several months. So the property types I'm going to be covering today are detached, semi-detached, freehold townhomes, condo apartments, and condo townhouses. So let's get started. If you're interested in other areas, I do have a more broadly based GTA market update in another video. So here's my contact information if you ever need to email me, call me, or watch any of my other videos. Let's get started with the detached properties in Toronto. First off, the top line here is December, followed by January, February, March, and April. And then this is the average price, the number of sales, and the number of new listings. So let's start with just what happened in April. Basically, from March to April, housing prices for detached properties in Toronto actually went up by a small margin of 1.5%. The month prior, it actually had dropped 7.5%. Now, if you take sales, the number here, divided by the number of new listings, it gives you a broad idea of the market, where the balance of the market is. Is it leaning more towards the seller or is it leaning more towards the buyer? In this situation, if you take 867 divided by 1724, you get 50%. Which is basically a balanced market. Anything over 60% is typically seller's market. Anything below 40% is typically a buyer's market. Okay, let's look at semi-detached. In April, the price of a semi-detached dropped 3.3% from the previous month. And you can see here. In the townhouse, and these are freehold townhomes, the price of an average downtown townhouse dropped 8.7% between March and April. Let's go to condo apartments. The percentage drop here was negative, was 1.3%, which I would say is a pretty small drop compared to normal cycles within a real estate year. So this is nothing, I would say this is pretty much within the normal range. Similarly, condo townhomes, in April, the price dropped only about 0.8%. Once again, very minor drop in pricing. So the only one here that seemed to be dropping the most was actually the townhouse, which dropped around 8.7%, versus the rest of them, detached, actually went up. It was the only market type, house type, that actually went up in price from the month prior. Semi, back to townhouse, condo apartments. So condo apartments and condo townhouses, I would say, generally have been pretty stable in the last month. So here are my final thoughts on the Toronto market. While interest rates have already affected the market, with most regions peaking in price at around February 2022, for Toronto specifically, since that time there have been small price fluctuations other than the freehold townhouse. So as I mentioned earlier, condo townhouse the last 2 months have had pretty normal price fluctuations, up or minus around 1 to 2%. In the last 3 months, actually. The condo apartment space, March and April, last 2 months have went up a bit, went down a bit. The freehold townhouse market has actually had more, varied price fluctuation, went up 4% and then also down almost 9%. The semi-detached, up 2%, up 3%, down 3%. So that's very much within normal price fluctuations. Detached properties actually for the first time, for the only type of property in Toronto has actually gone up in price since the March, it decreased in 7.5. So that's the only one that's really gone against the trend of what's going on in terms of the price fluctuation. But once again, even 1.5% you could argue is within a normal price fluctuation on a month-to-month basis. Now, in terms of the future, obviously we don't know how aggressive the Bank of Canada will raise interest rates. I think most buyers are anticipating a rather aggressive Bank of Canada rate hike in the next 30 to 60 days. And I think that will be the number one determinant of why pricing or demand will be stagnant or potentially go down. We don't really know. We won't really know until the banks and the Bank of Canada give us more clarity, give buyers more clarity and confidence in what they want to do. Because obviously no one wants to buy a property and then 1 month later, they're going to have to start paying more, right? Or they're going to be paying more towards interest as opposed to principal. But if you have any questions about any of these stats or any information you'd like to know about the market, here's my contact information. I'll go back to it from the beginning. And otherwise, I hope to see you at the next one. Bye now.